The feminists and the pro-family women are going in opposite directions. And I feel that those who make a family choice will have a happier life, and those who make the feminist choice, unfortunately, end up very bitter.
Hi everybody, welcome back to our channel. Today, you know what I was thinking a couple of weeks ago is that we always do, like, people always give a lot of the modern women, these feminist women, a lot of like a big microphone all the time. And what I think happens is that we forget to talk about the women that, you know, were really kind of fighting for the traditional home. Phyllis Schlafly. Yeah, so if you guys don't know who she is, so she is an American attorney, conservative activist, author, and anti-feminist. She was a spokesperson for the National Conservative Movement. She was against a lot of the feminism movement. She was against, I guess at some point, the gay rights movement, of course, abortion, and she successfully campaigned against the ratification of the, that's what it was, the ERA, the Equal Rights Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Anyway, she was a big, you know, anti-feminist, and a lot of people don't really know like a whole lot about her. But anyways, so I saw this interview with her, and I just thought that we would look at the interview, and you guys tell us what you think about her, because I think that it's nice that women were trying to say this.
20 years ago, while the women's movement was protesting for equal rights, one voice was heard from the other side, standing up for everything the women's movement was against. Phyllis Schlafly believed that women should support their husbands rather than themselves, and that every woman would best be served to serve her husband and family. She was arguably the driving force behind the defeat of the Equal Rights Amendment. Phyllis Schlafly became the voice for the traditional woman and the defender of traditional family values. She has been adored as the symbol for traditional womanhood, and she has been denounced as a traitor to her own sex and detested with great intensity. There is no middle ground with Phyllis Schlafly. You either love her or loathe her. Yet there is no denying that she is one of the most controversial women of our times. Mrs. Schlafly is an attorney, a mother of 6, a grandmother, and the founder of the Eagle Forum, an organization that lobbies for conservative values and issues. Today, she remains as vocal about women's issues as she was 20 years ago. Mrs. Schlafly has some definite opinions about what has happened over the past 2 decades and the way some women are living their lives.
20 years ago, you said that the feminist movement was going to be detrimental to our society, and here it is 20 years later. Has it been?
Yes.
In what ways?
I think it's made a lot of very unhappy women. 20 years later, they're now in their late 30s or early 40s. Many of them have given up their opportunities to have a husband and a family and children, and they're mad about the choices they made. They're unhappy that the feminist movement told them that career in their 20s would give them the most fulfillment and that husbands and children were unimportant. When they got to be in their late 30s or 40s, they realized that wasn't so.
Mm-hmm. But in essence, there are a lot of women who really did buy into the feminist movement.
Yes, there were.
And they said, and they are living it today. Do you think that they're not living the American dream?
A lot of them are happy with their choices, I'm sure. People are very different in their motivation. But by and large, if you look at the whole country, I would say most women would like to have a husband and children. If they devote their prime years of childbearing years and when they have good looks and good figure and virtue, if they pass all those by and devote it to working 60 hours a week in a profession, time passes them by. Mm-hmm. I went to law school after I was 50, but I certainly couldn't have had my 6 children after I was 50.
But weren't you in essence a working woman all of your life?
Of course I was working, but I wasn't employed outside the home. A mother who has 6 children works very hard indeed. I was always a full-time homemaker for 25 years. I think that a woman can indeed have it all, as I have had, if she realizes that she can't have it all at the same time. The ones who have...
I like that she says that. You know what I mean? Women always... we did a video a long time ago where we said that women, do we think that women can have it? Someone asked us, do we think women can have it all? And we said no, and I think you said not at the same time.
I said not at the same time.
And that is accurate. I mean...
You know what I would say? She's right, because the feminist movement, not only did it send women to work, but it also broke up families and generations of kids that denied fathers, and an intact home. You know what I mean? And so it did a lot of other things besides just women going to work. And I think that feminists always say that, oh, women can go to work, and that's progress. But look what you had to give. Look what we've destroyed, and what we had to give up to get that. Was it worth it to me? No.
And I would say to them, no. Because now, like Phyllis was saying, that they're now being faced with their choices. You've given up that, when you had your figure, the whole thing. That doesn't even sound shallow to me. That just sounds like real talk right
We
there.
aren't men. And I think feminism, because men can always have babies. They can have babies until they're dead. You know what I mean?
Robert De Niro just had.
Right. Men can always have babies. Yeah. They're lucky that way. You know what I mean? But it's just like, if you can't have, we're not the same. And I don't know why women think that we can be the same. We're just not. We're biologically not the same. We're physically not the same. We're mentally not the same. We're not emotionally the same. And so there are things that I think that we gave up a whole lot. I say it's even about the Black community. We gave up a whole lot for some civil rights. Because we had a lot more going on before Jim Crow.
We were fine.
When Jim Crow was around before than after. So I think sometimes what looks like this whole 60s generation did was give up a lot of stuff for really selfish things.
The payoff was not there. The payoff was not good.
Right. I agree with this woman.
She's sweetheart of the silent majority is what they called her. And they called her that because the majority of women believed what she was saying, but they were being overpowered by feminist movement.
Yeah.
And so although Phyllis was strong enough and bold enough to just say, no, you need to take care of your husband and your children. Women, put your career last and put your family first. She wasn't scared to say that and keep tradition alive.
She realizes that she can't have it all at the same time. The ones who have really had it all in the family and career fields are those who did it at different times in their lives. I think the trendy word now is sequential careers. I think that a woman can spend the first 20 years of her life getting prepared, educating herself, preparing herself for life ahead. Then she can devote 20 years to raising the next generation. And she's still, at that time, only about 40, and she can do all kinds of interesting things, whatever her heart desires.
You also said for the past 2 decades, the fad of feminism has taught the falsehood that men and women, husbands and wives, fathers and mothers are interchangeable. And you're saying we're not.
That's right. A baby needs a mother and a father. A baby doesn't need two interchangeable fungibles, parents who are the same. Most people have to have an income, an earned income, and a division of responsibility between the provider and the homemaker is what makes a successful marriage and family function.
So you don't think there's really any place for women today to really have an impact professionally in our society?
No, I wouldn't say that at all. If a woman wants to remain unmarried or remain childless, she can have a tremendous career. She can compete equally. The doors are wide open. But I look upon it as an advantage that a woman can divide up her life and enjoy motherhood and family and ultimately grandmotherhood. However, she won't reach the income levels of a man or a woman who devotes his or her whole life to developing a single career. These are choices that people make. And I have no problem with people who make a different choice from the one I made. The problem I see is that people who made the other choice, then 20 years later, they're not happy with the choice they made and they want somebody to do something about it.
I'm just going to say real quick that she's right. It's like they figure out now that they're not, 20 years later, they're not happy, they're upset. Now they want it to be fixed now. All of a sudden, now they want everybody to reverse everything. Okay? We have to figure out a way to, not get rid of feminism, but, have the best of both worlds. No, you've already introduced feminism, so it's already been pretty much ruined. So you're now being faced with the choices. No one's going to come save you now.
I think that like I disagree with her. I think that you're supposed to. I think you're not supposed to. Everybody makes everything like people act like work.
I know, oh my gosh,
and money. It's just like the most important thing in the world. Like you can't do with less.
Yeah.
Well, if I didn't work, then my husband would make money. We won't have as much money. Well, you can't live with less.
You can't. Why can't you live with less?
You can't.
What is this?
Fix a shirt instead of buying a new one?
Why?
You can't. You know what I mean? Like what?
Why?
What is wrong with having? Why do you need to have so much materialism to feel good about yourself?
Why? Why can't you live a more minimalistic life for the sake of family? Why can't you sacrifice some things? Why do you have to have all of the the shiny things? Maybe you can get.
And then
at
also
some
just
point,
the accolades, like. Why do you have to be? You have to let everyone know I'm a businesswoman.
Okay.
I'm a CEO.
Yeah.
Like what? I'm just trying to say, like what? Who cares?
The biggest
at the end of the day, who really cares?
The biggest, the bigger flex is family.
Yeah.
The bigger flex is always family. I'm sorry. It always is going to be family. It's always going to be a solid marriage. That is the biggest flex of your life. And then it's your legacies.
Because everybody's supposed to have a single life.
Yeah, of course.
I believe in that. You should have a single life, and you're not supposed to be with someone. I think there are times where you are supposed to be alone. But everything comes to an end.
Yeah, I agree.
Everything's supposed to come to an end.
Yeah.
Nothing's supposed to be, the same forever, or life is boring.
So in other words, if a woman decides that she wants to be a professional woman, it's best that she remain unmarried and choose that career goal. Stay on that track. If she chooses to be a mother, then stay at home with the children.
I wouldn't dictate to any other woman, but you look at the demographic facts out there, you will see that the higher the income and the more successful a single woman is, the less are her chances of marriage and the less are her chances of a family and the lifetime commitment to marriage. So these are choices she made. The divorce rate is very high among successful career women. The more money she makes, the more apt she is to divorce.
There are a lot of women who have to work, who are forced because of the economy. They have to work. They're single parents. They fall through the cracks. What about those women?
Of course. The women whose husbands have left them or divorced them or whatever have a very hard time. It's very difficult for a woman to hold down a job and raise children too. Indeed, she has to hold a job. She has to eat. But when you look at these so-called women who have to work, many of the women who are saying that are women who are wives who simply want a standard of living higher than their husband is producing. These are choices people make. I've made a point of looking into the income levels of many of these women who say they, quote, have to work, close quote, who are interviewed in the newspapers and on television. And you will find generally they have the two incomes at the $50,000 to $60,000 income level. And they have made the choice that they prefer to live at that level rather than get along on the husband's income.
But isn't that the American dream? I mean, we grow up thinking that we're supposed to provide and have all these luxuries and all these other things. It's going to take two people to do it. And if you have an educated woman along with an educated man who can do it, what's wrong with that?
The American dream is not hiring strangers to take care of your children. That is
okay. That needs to be on a T-shirt.
That needs to be on a T-shirt. That's going to be a T-shirt for us. We're going to get T-shirts that American dream is.
That hiring other people to take care of your children.
See, that's my thing.
Man,
it's like a lot of women say
bars.
that. Well, a woman can work. I think some girl actually said that to us because we were saying something about Beyonce and Jay-Z and Kim Kardashian. Yeah. And she was all like, those women can hire people, so you don't have to be at home. I said, you are not supposed to have children for other women to raise.
The point is for you.
That's the point.
Yeah.
If you want to have children, you raise them.
Yeah.
Why are you going to have children?
Turn them over to
a nanny. And so she's saying exactly what I was saying before in our other video, is that a lot of women that say that they have to work, they have to work because they want more stuff.
Yeah.
It's not about them, we're not going to be able to eat.
Yeah. So that's not
the majority of these
that
women,
happens, but
right.
it does not happen as often as there were. The people that have the biggest microphones are the ones that are really just wanting fancy stuff.
Yeah.
That's what
I just want a better car. I want more clothes. I want to do this, and I want that's my husband for. I don't want to live on his income. No, you're supposed to be able to live within your means.
Yep.
I'm saying, do we have to have everything that we see on television? Do we really need more clothes? Do we really need a fancier car? Do we really need to keep buying things all the time?
Yeah, and I'm okay with you wanting things. Like, I think there needs to be a primary focus in people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that comes in the form of family. That's just my feelings on this. And I believe that makes happier people. And we know this because our history has shown that happy people were generally happier when the focus was family.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We know that you need money to live. Okay? We can't skirt around that one. We know that money is important for comfort, obviously, to live, peacefully in some way. But when the primary focus, see what I'm saying? Like, there's a focus and primary.
Mm-hmm.
The primary focus always needs to be your family.
But isn't that the American dream? I mean, we grow up thinking that we're supposed to provide and have all these luxuries and all these other things. It's going to take two people to do it. And if you have an educated woman along with an educated man who can do it, what's wrong with that?
The American dream is not hiring strangers to take care of your children. That is not the American dream. The American dream is a mother sacrificing her own career advancement in order to give her children the best care that she possibly can.
I still argue the point, though, that there are a lot of women out there who have to work. And I don't buy what you're saying, that because they want more for themselves. There are women who are just staying above the poverty level.
The median family income in this country for all families is $26,000 a year.
And that doesn't go very far.
Well,
where does $26,000 a year
but
go?
there are millions of people living at this level. This is the median income level. So if you have a two-earner family, you are living well above the average in this country.
And you want to educate your children on $26,000 a year, median income. So in other words, keep everybody at the bottom.
Oh, no. The American dream is to have prosperity with more jobs. But children haven't heard the call of women's liberation. They're just the same as they ever were. Mm-hmm. And they need the mother to look after them. Mm-hmm. And all the time on television and press, we see women in two-earner families at the $50,000 to $60,000 income level who are crying around that they want somebody else to pay for their daycare. That is not fair to the average family in this country who is living and paying taxes at the $26,000 level.
What about the young man who has grown up with the young woman in this age of feminism and change, who has the attitude that, yes, I can help you out. Yes, this can be a two-party unison. What do you say to that young man?
Oh, I think young men are very confused. They don't know how to treat women. They don't even understand that feminists don't like to be called a lady. The feminist movement has confused a lot of young men.
That shocks me because I see young men so differently. I see them more compassionate. I see them relating to women in terms of their emotions, much more so than my father did. I see young men really allowing themselves to come into the woman's world and understand what her problems are.
Wow. You guys not...
Black women have always been this
Black
family.
women? Man, wow.
And by the way, the single mother rate in the black community has been close, 70% at least, since the late 60s. Right? So that's due to not keeping your legs closed.
Right.
Before that, black women could keep their legs closed.
Yeah.
When the sexual revolution came out, then all of a sudden women can't keep their legs closed. And now we need welfare. We need this. We need that. You know what I mean? You're a single mother because you made a mistake.
Yeah.
And you weren't married to this man. And so especially when I hear black women who try to, they don't want to talk about abstinence.
She's towing the line.
Right,
yeah.
She's just towing the line. It's just like, you don't want to talk about abstinence, but you are going to sit here and talk about single motherhood. We can't fix that at all by just not having sex.
Yeah. There's no talk of that. It's just she's just living just at the poverty level and just trying to keep her head above water. Well, ma'am, that's the whole point of what Phyllis is saying, that we need to talk about how to fix that problem. Okay, because you're just saying that they should just basically just keep going on as is with no talk about why they are in that position in the first place. We're not talking about abstinence. We're not talking about marriage, and at this time, it's in the 80s. Women were not talking about, abstinence of marriage. They were actually talking about being sexual. Yeah, there was the opposite. When she's talking about, women can't live above a certain thing. So there were select people who were having a hard time in life due to their choices. Right. Due to their choices. Okay, we're not talking about that. And it's like now we have to all of a sudden feel sorry for the situation. I feel bad for the kids.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about every woman. You have a husband, you went to war, you lost him. That's not the same.
That's the same.
You know what I mean? I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that a lot of the single motherhood stuff could have been fixed, or it couldn't have happened at all. Yeah. If you hadn't tried to challenge your husband and divorced, or you hadn't been having sex before you were married. So the thing is like, so now you want the state to now, like Phyllis said, you want them to pay for daycare for you, and you want all this welfare and stuff because of a choice you made. You want now the general public to make up for that? Yeah. No, ma'am. Yeah. You don't get to then make all these, and then come off as the victim. Yeah. And a lot of these women, like this reporter, they use a straw man, like they do with abortion. What about rape and incest? Yeah. Well, that's like 1% of the abortion. The other 99% are women who are oversexed and making bad decisions. Do not use rape victims as some way to get your abortion. Yeah. That's the same thing that they're doing here. You know what I mean? What about the women just keeping their head above the... Okay, well, that's probably about 1 or 2% of the women. The rest of these women are women who make poor decisions and became single mothers.
Now, and also what we know... Yeah, no, it's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Also what we know about the 80s is that women started working not because they're trying to get their head above water and they had to work. All were wanting to work.
Yeah. You know what I find very interesting about this is that now the Zoomers generation, all of those women, they want to work 3 days a week.
Yeah. Now they don't want to work. They want to work.
They don't like working. That's why. I want to work. I want to make $17 an hour without any, training for anything. I just work at McDonald's. For 3 days. I only want to work 3 days a week. I don't want to spend. This is their words. I don't want to spend all my time at a job when I could be being a wife and mother. No, nothing like that. Well, it's insane when people think that they have to work 40 hours a week. Yeah. So I don't understand. Now these Zoomer feminist girls are now saying they only want to work 3 days a week. Right. That's where we're at. I mean, see what I mean? Why women should not be running.
It should have never happened.
This is what happens when you put women in charge.
Frustrations are. There's a lot more compassion today.
Maybe he's just found it easier to get her to sleep with him. Because part of the feminist movement has been to say we have to get rid of the double standard. Women can be just as sexually liberated as men. And there is a high rate of young women who have abandoned their virtue in order to be just like men.
Okay, so for the next 20 years, where are we headed as you see it? What's going to happen to the women's movement? Are you going to win? Is the feminist movement going to win? Who's going to come out on top? Are the men going to be back on top?
I would not call it the women's movement. I would call that the feminist women's movement, and our movement the pro-family women's movement. And it is a division. Some men will say, why don't you women get together and decide what you want? But I would say, does anybody tell George Bush to get together with Mike Dukakis and decide what you men want? They are going in different directions. The feminists and the pro-family women are going in opposite directions. And I feel that those who make a family choice will have a happier life, and those who make the feminist choice, unfortunately, end up very bitter. Every woman can make her own choice, and I wouldn't make the choice for any other woman. But I would say it's worth it to give those years to a new baby who needs his mother so badly. And it is worth it to give up the standard of living, the career advancement, at least for those early years. And those who do it are usually well pleased with the result.
When the black woman, I don't know her name. I don't mean to disrespect.
I thought it was Donna Brazile at first.
Yeah, I did too at first, but no, that's not her.
It's like no sign.
But the woman, the interviewer, when she said, it's so the irony though, because I didn't even realize that she said that part. We just talked about this in another video, not last video or the video before. She was talking about men and emotions, how men are so emotional now. This is the 80s. She's talking about this. Men are becoming more emotional, and they're getting into the woman's world now. She actually said what is happening right now, and now we're seeing the effects of men and this emotion, right? And how it's made them shells of men. And Phyllis is absolutely right. A lot of these men are just trying, they were, or some still are really just trying to play the emotional card to get women in bed.
Anyway, I think when men need women for money, I'm not saying that they need them totally, but just to share the income. Sometimes I think when men look for women like that, it's because they do think that those women are going to be easier as far as they can sleep with you, and then they don't have to pay for anything.
Right. Yes.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
And those are some of the most manipulative, disgusting men that I've ever met. You know what I mean? When men want to be the men that want to take care of you, that take care of, those are the men. That's not chauvinism or sexism. Those are real men.
Right.
Those, you know what I mean? And these other men, I think just what she said. And that's true, because she's right. With the sexual, like I said, with the sexual revolution came, it's part of the feminist movement, you know, we're just like you.
Right.
And so, of course, now we have to have sex with you. And I think Dennis Prager said, told Candace Owens when she did a interview with him, he said, God, I wish when I was in college this was a thing. You know what I mean? He was just like, women just have sex with you.
You're right.
You know what I mean? With because you had to take her out and buy a whole situation. He's like, you're not doing anything. You're not sticking it to us.
And now you're
really giving us a treat that we don't deserve.
Now women just now women just give it away. Like it's no big deal at all.
He said, I don't know what you guys think you're actually doing, but I'm sure a lot of guys are like, yeah, women's movement.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Good, let's go. Where's my picket sign? Women like her seem happy. Like they seem like they're just happier, nicer women. They seem relaxed and more nice and just kind of like just have a fulfilled, I get a sense of fulfillment with her in her life. I don't get that same feeling when I look at a feminist woman or a ball-busting businesswoman. I don't get that same. I see anger and bitter, anxiety, distrust. I don't see that with those types of women.
Well, when we did that video with Ebony, and then we just did a video with Jessie Lee Peterson and that black girl, and this lady that did this interview, they all are the same. Look how their whole personalities are exactly the same. Like there's no emotion. No, they don't. They're
robotic.
Everything's robotic. We're the same. There's no difference. Just sort of kind of lost. They don't know what being a woman is. They just think it's all about being the same genderless sort of weird world. And it's just like, this is not nature. This is not what we are supposed to be.
But when I know or meet a woman who went the traditional role with their marriage and their children, I noticed that woman is always much more lighter. She's more happy. And she's right. Then the lady asked her, where do you think the next 20 years, what that's going to look like? Now, did she not just predict where we're at right now? She said they're going to be not happy.
I mean, she's a lawyer.
Yeah.
Look, see, can still do it.
Yeah, she did all this. She got her law degree at 50, I believe she said. But so that's my point. She has a fulfilled life. She got everything she wanted, just not at the same time. And I think that she's still a happy woman. She's a grandmother. Like she just seems like I just like that. And I just really love that there were women out there that were trying. Like, shout out to those women. Yeah. Like, really shout out to those traditional conservative women
and
back
now
then.
they won't even let a woman
They
like
won't
They won't even
do it.
They won't even let a woman like that
no,
be on any
way.
mainstream space.
No
like,
way.
they won't. They want to corrupt these women for the rest of their life. I mean, we talk about it, but we only have a few subscribers, and they really mess with our algorithm.
Yeah.
We say certain things, you know what I mean? Like YouTube, you got to play nice with YouTube.
Yeah.
And when you don't say the right things, YouTube gets a little funny.
Especially when they're black women talking like this.
Yeah.
No, thank you. We're their demographic.
We're the demographic they already got a hold of. You know what I mean?
And they're like, wait, what are these people talking about? Oh no, they're talking about something totally different, right? But I just appreciate that, because I do feel like we've given. I think some of these feminists even right now have gotten their microphone. We get it. Let's mute their microphone just a little bit at this point, okay? And just give shout out to these types of women, because they really. She did she did the hard stuff back then.
She did the Lord's work.
Yeah, she did. And she just kept going, and she was trying to explain, and she was trying to advocate for the real women's like movement, the real traditional women's movement.
And I'm glad she didn't, because she called it feminism.
Yeah.
Because don't call it women's movement.
That's
not a women's movement. The women aren't all on board with that. There are different movements for women, and that's not one I'm in.
There's a women's feminist movement, and there's women's traditional movement. I don't know, you guys, let's see what you think about that. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Phyllis Schlafly. But yeah, she just really, I just like her. I mean, it's just really unfortunate that it just didn't reach. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, she got so muted that it didn't reach women in enough time to save them.
Yeah, I think it was an agenda that came along the civil rights movement.
Yeah.
That whole general era, that whole general era.
Yeah,
65 to 70. Yeah. You know what I mean? That whole area was all about destruction, tearing down the norms, flipping the country upside down, whether you were black, gay, a woman. That's when it all really took hold, and we did that. And I don't think there was anything that she could have actually done to change where the country, where the overlords of this country actually wanted it to go. And I'm telling you, cultural Marxism is real.
Yeah, it is.
And that's where we are now.
Yeah.
Let's call us Danny and Kara Schlafly. Call me Miss Schlafly, the black version.
Shut up, Kara.
I'm going to get my bun going differently. Kara Schlafly.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We will love that. And that's it. We'll see you guys in the next video.